This is where the story kind of starts. SEC charges Coinbase for operating as an unregistered securities exchange broker and clearing agency. It's in the headline. They're going after Coinbase. But what's up with this group of assets that are in question? We get some crazy insight into the judge's mind in this case in the pre-motion hearing transcript that was recently released, and I want to dig into the transcript. This is one of the most important Cardano videos that I've done. It's definitely a little bit different style. Maybe it's not your style. It's probably not mine either, reading through a pre-motion hearing transcript. That's what we're going to be doing. I was just reading through. I've highlighted some points that stuck out to me I was not aware of. Here's what I've been aware of in terms of the pre-motion hearing and some of the things that were said. These more headline-y type of quotes that were floating around on Twitter even, just to give you an idea, because these are foundational and important too to the case. This is Meta Lawman, the judge saying it's not crazy for Coinbase to think what they were doing was okay based on the issuance of the S1. The major questions doctrine was discussed. Coinbase reported CoinDesk reported that the judge at times showed skepticism towards the SEC's messaging, and it is so true if you read through the transcript. So those are some of like the headline points. But I started digging into the actual case, the transcript. And I just want to read through it with you. And this is so important to specifically Cardano, and I should definitely mention all of the other tokens listed. I'm going to reference Cardano the most because obviously you all know I'm a big ADA fan, right? So let me just so when I say Cardano though, or assets, this is what we're talking about. These are the assets named in this lawsuit. Let's open up this transcript. So they're just talking, right? The judge kind of just talking to both sides, Coinbase, SEC. For your reference, when we're looking in blue, this is the judge talking. So the judge is talking, and then green is the SEC. Judge talking to the SEC here. Just to that point, sir, at what level are you asking me to focus? The judge is basically like, what are you asking me to do here? What are we doing? You're asking me to focus on the assets themselves or on what's being done with them on the Coinbase platform. So that was surprising to me. We just looked at, here are the assets in question. ADA is on there. This is really the headline of it all. SEC's charging Coinbase, and the judge is sitting here in the pre-motion hearing and like, what do you want me to do? What are we focusing on? Are we focusing on what Coinbase is doing with these assets, or are we focusing on the assets themselves? I was really surprised that was even a question. Look at the answer from the SEC. That's a good question, Your Honor. We're asking you to focus on the securities. And look, they just presumptive close type of deal. Calling them a security. We're asking you to focus on the securities that Coinbase allows to be transacted on the platform and that they offer by and through the Coinbase wallet application and through the Prime service, which gives access to the platform to their institutional and other customers. The only thing that's in dispute, Your Honor, and I think both sides agree on this, is whether the crypto assets that Coinbase makes available on its platform are fairly characterized as investment contracts or not. That surprised me. I mean, I know that these assets are at the forefront, but I was very surprised to see the SEC kind of magnify the point. And what is so compelling about this and crazy to me, while this is happening, I don't know exact timestamps here, but this news was breaking. And this is such an interesting dynamic to me. They had to take a recess in this pre-motion hearing that we're going over because this news broke at the same time that pre-motion hearing was going on. SEC sitting there saying, the question is, are these securities? And another judge finally ruled XRP is not a security in the SEC case versus Ripple. And when you read the transcript of Coinbase versus SEC, you get a sense of the personality of the judge, and you just get the sense that she's going to look at and consider the Ripple SEC case. It's just going to happen. Not to mention already showing skepticism. Here's the SEC. With an entity such as Coinbase, if it were registered as an exchange, clearing agent, or broker, there are requirements opening up books and records to the SEC, providing on-site inspection to allow the SEC to provide oversight. Look at the judge's reply. Let me just say this, sir. Again, we will probably have a greater discussion about this in a little bit. I understand the reliance on Howie, and I understand there's this sort of contract aspect to Howie. Listen to this. But there's a question about the efforts involved in the underlying crypto assets. I think that's where perhaps there's some traction to the defendant's arguments. So not only showing skepticism throughout, as was reported, right, by Cointelegraph, I believe it was, not only showing skepticism, but look at this comment. I think that's where perhaps there's some traction. Agreeing that there's traction to the defendant's arguments, Coinbase's arguments. I know you don't agree with it, and the question I'll have for both of you, spoiler alert, is that I'd like to know what I really can decide on the record before me and on the stuff I may properly consider in this context. That last little piece kind of confused me. But I know you don't agree with it, and I think that's where perhaps there's some traction to the defendant's arguments. That is something else, not something I anticipated to read, and I think it gives us insight into this case. Scrolling down more, now we have Coinbase coming into play. Coinbase is in purple. Here's the judge. Just to that point, sir, I don't think you're suggesting in your answer that the activities that are going on the Coinbase platform and in the wallets and in Prime are, in the colloquial sense, trading. Your argument is that the things that are being traded are not assets subject to the securities laws. Do I understand that correctly? And I hear Paul Graywall in the back of my mind, just his videos or his statements basically saying he thinks they're going to win and we're going to fight. And this is their response. I think that's fair. They do not constitute investment contracts, as that idea is properly understood, and therefore the claims of our good adversaries must fail. That is, in a sense, the boiled down version of the essential point. So basically saying SEC does not have a case. To the extent any of these tokens can be said to be investment contracts, this is Coinbase, in the context of an initial offering, they certainly cannot be said to be that in the context of the secondary trades that are occurring on the Coinbase platform. Because in those trades, nothing is traveling with the sale except the token itself in exchange for a payment of fiat or digital currency. And can I just say, the judge has already kind of established the fact from the SEC. SEC wants her to focus on each crypto asset, right? And can I just say, on top of what Coinbase is saying here, ADA specifically, ICO, so put aside secondary sales, which Coinbase is making a great point. ICO for ADA, for Cardano, in Japan, via vouchers, which I think were in Japanese, and paid for by Bitcoin or the yen, no US investors at all in the ICO for Cardano, not even in the United States. The case, if SEC is saying, hey, yeah, we want you to look at these crypto assets, if they do, and something like XRP was just declared not a security by a judge, Cardano is on a whole nother level of not a security. Anything can happen here, but I'm just saying what I see. And the way that this is progressing, I think is definitely looking better for Coinbase. It's definitely looking better for Cardano. And I'm not trying to throw hopium. If it was looking bad, I would be covering that right now. But so far it's not. And things could change. But this is what it's looking like. That is not an exchange of value that carries any ongoing obligation to anyone, and it is not an exchange of value that constitutes an investment or a claim on the return of the issuer or the promoter now. And I think that's all. Actually, I have more. Here's Coinbase again. Moreover, the staking program. So touching on staking briefly, the staking program involves essentially the provision of administrative and IT support rather than the risk of loss, and therefore it is in the nature of a supply contract, a services contract, not in the nature of an investment contract or a security. I think SEC said something along the lines, can correct me if I'm wrong, something along the lines of it's an entrepreneurial endeavor, right? So it's a security. SEC, again, we gave them as examples to the court. However, we are not committing that it is limited to 12. So I meant to highlight this. This was the last and final point I wanted to point out. The judge, sir, you're not committing that the number is 12 or 13. the assets listed that we're talking about, right? So all these handful of tokens right here, the judge is saying, you're not committing that the number is 12 or 13. It could be hundreds. But based on the commission's implementation of the Howey analysis, you have found 12 or 13 assets that meet what you understand to be the definition of securities. And the SEC says, we gave them as examples to the court. So they just, out of all of them, they just kind of picked ADA, oh, let's grab Matic. You have found 12 or 13. We gave them as examples to the court. We're not committing that it is limited to 12. But I also can't take a position on all 250 because, as your honor is aware, this is a very fact-intensive analysis. And each token, there it is, each token has to be looked at. Please look at ADA. Please look at ADA. Crazy. I didn't read into the transcript when it came out, and I was just reading through it, and I wanted to cover it for a video. I hope it's interesting to you as it is interesting to me, because this is such a big deal in terms of Cardano in general. You all know that I cover charts, I cover fundamentals, I cover just the growth of Cardano ecosystem and the community. There's all of this involvement from so many different perspectives. But now we have like such a key case happening. And really Cardano, it's not in that pre-motion hearing, it's not really named, right? The other tokens aren't really named specifically, but it revolves around it. Cardano is at the center of attention now, especially now that the Ripple case is kind of, XRP is not a security. That whole entire piece of news is kind of behind us. And now the true focus really is Cardano and these other tokens. And it is actually so important for all of us ADA holders and just for everybody that's building in the space, for stake node operators. Obviously, we run stake pools, and it's just such an important thing. I wanted to go over these points with you, everybody. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts. If you're not a subscriber, you're cruising through, hit the subscribe. It's not just Cardano on this channel, by the way. We cover crypto news, Bitcoin, and obviously we do a lot of ADA analysis, but everybody, huge to read that in the transcript. So going to be very cool to see how this progresses. Just referencing Meta Lawman, the judge said her docket was very busy for the next few months, signaling she may not have time to make quick ruling on motions. So we might need some patience. But either way, we will definitely be tracking. Let me know your thoughts, everybody. I appreciate you. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.